let's imagine somebody with a stature of, say, I don't know, Oprah Winfrey, maybe Donald Trump, beginning a sentence with these words. Now, this may be a dumb idea, but somehow I just can't imagine them saying that. If they have an idea, they want to say it straightforward, right out, and that is number one. That is the first phrase that I think Aspies may be overusing just a little bit. Got an idea? You say, this may be a dumb idea. Okay, if it's a dumb idea, why are you saying it? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that you should never use that phrase ever, but I think by and large what you were doing, or I should say what we're doing, when we use that phrase is we are discrediting the idea before we even present it. Before we even say what the idea is, we're cueing in the other people, whoever happen to be listening to us, that, hey, this is a dumb idea. And what they're, if somebody says that to you, this may be a dumb idea, but why do we even say that? I think it's because we're afraid of rejection. We're thinking as soon as I present this idea, they're going to say, that's a dumb idea. So we're giving ourselves an out. Yeah, I knew you'd think that. So phrase number 2 is this. This is the way it's always been done. Why do we say that? Well, because that's the way it's always been done. So what? If it's always been done that way, are we not open to new ideas? Well, if you're an Aspie, chances are, no, you're probably not. Because Aspies tend to think in terms of, what did I have for dinner yesterday? Well, that's what I'm going to have for dinner today. We tend to do it the same way over and over and over. I'm not sure that's a bad idea. In fact, I think it's, for me at least, it's really kind of convenient getting into those. I hate to call them ruts. They're just habits, things that we do to keep our life systematic and organized. And okay, I'm fine with that. But everyone else doesn't operate that way. Neurotypicals don't operate that way. And when we say, hey, we got to do it this way because that's the way it's always been done, that just doesn't fly. Unless it's really a bad idea that somebody's coming up with and it's not effective and efficient as it was the other way, then it's perfectly okay to, make that pronouncement that, hey, we need to stick to doing it the right way. But just because that's the way it's always been done doesn't mean that's the correct way to do it in the future. Now imagine going back 100 years, the year is, that would be 1922 because I'm recording in 2022. So 1922, every new idea that's come up, somebody would say, can't do that because, we've always done it this other way. Just think of all the things that we would not have. We wouldn't have this YouTube channel, would we? Nah, because it didn't exist back then. The third phrase that I think Aspies may overuse is this. It's just not fair. Now, why would Aspies say that? Because it's just not fair. Life isn't fair, and we happen to be extraordinarily honest people. That's a matter of observation. Aspies, I don't like to say they can't lie, but people who research this say that it's really hard for Aspies, even little children, people with Asperger syndrome, they just have a hard time saying something that isn't true because this is not how their neurology functions. So we will say it's not fair because it's just not fair. That just happens to be the truth. But what we are doing is we're betraying our vulnerability and not understanding that life is not fair. And there are times, again, I'm saying these are phrases we overuse. I'm not saying these are phrases we should never use because sometimes something isn't fair and, hey, we need to take a stand for it. And it's not just us. It could be something that's unfair to me, but it could be something that's unfair to somebody else. It could be a family member. It could be somebody total stranger. It's not just. It's not fair. There are times where we need to speak up, but we need to be careful not to overuse that as an excuse. Number 4 is this. I'll do my best. Yeah, when I say that, what I'm doing, somebody says, ask me to do something, okay, I'll do my best. What I'm saying to them is trying to communicate is I'm going to do the best job I possibly can. But that's not what people hear when we say that. What they hear is, your standard is to do it like this, but I'm going to lower the standard and do it my way. Best I can, but, we're just given that implication when we use that phrase that we're not going to give it our all. It's kind of like we're communicating the exact opposite of what we're saying. We say, I'll do my best, but the message the other person receives is, I'm not going to do it right. I'm not going to do it my best. I'm going to do what my limitation. And usually the response you get back from that is somebody will say something to the effect, how would you respond to that? They say, I don't want you to do your best. I want it done right, or something like that. Just their response usually doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The other one, this is number 5 of 6, and this is a word that I use all the time. I overuse it, and I probably overwhelm, but I hear other Aspies using this word as well. And that is the word, not a phrase, whatever. Or maybe you may add the word well in front of that. Well, whatever. Whatever. What does that mean? That means I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be bothered. Whatever, whatever it will be, will be. It's no big deal. People hear that as being non-committal. And sometimes people take advantage of that. I used to say whatever all the time, and some guy stole money from me. And when the attorney asked him, why did you take that money? He said, well, Ken said whatever, so I took whatever I wanted. And, I told the attorney, I told you the guy was nuts or something like that. All right, phrase number 6. This is the final one, but this is the most important one. And this is the one that I use all the time. And the phrase is, I don't know. Now, when I was talking to a therapist, I was being evaluated to see that if I actually had Asperger syndrome, and she wanted to talk to me and my wife at the same time. And that was something I think my wife brought up. That's something I say all the time is, I don't know. And they had a good laugh, the therapist and my wife, because I guess it was kind of funny, because that's something that people with autism say a lot. I don't know. I don't know. What does that mean? Well, it could means a lot of things, but it could mean, I don't know. I just don't have the answer. But it could also mean that it doesn't matter. You ask a question, what does that matter? What's that have to do with anything? So we say, I don't know. It could mean, isn't that obvious? Yeah, I'm wheezing a little bit, so if you hear that when I inhale, I'm sorry. But it could mean, well, isn't that kind of obvious? Why you ask me that question? That's just a pointless question to ask, kind of obvious. I don't know. Just don't bother me with something that is so obvious. I don't know also means I just don't care to talk about it. Somebody will ask you something, you don't want to talk about it. You don't say, I don't want to talk about it. What will they say? They will say, well, we need to talk about it or something like that. But I just say, I don't know. People don't seem to know how to respond to, I don't know. And usually if they respond at all, they will come back with something like, what do you mean you don't know? Or how can you not know that? Or don't you know anything? And the response that we give them is, I don't know, or whatever. It could also mean, don't bother me because I'm busy. Or I'm preoccupied doing something else, or my thought is engaged in something, and here you are interrupting my thoughts. I don't know. That kind of means leave me alone, get out of here, quit bothering me, quit bugging me, but we don't want to put it in those phrases, so we just say, I don't know. Yeah, I told you I was wheezing. All right, look on your screen and see a couple rectangles. That means this conversation continues if you want it to, but if you're done, just click one of those boxes. But if you're done, that's fine too. We will see you next time.